We're live.
Okay, apparently we're live now. I'm sorry, guys.
We were talking.
Chatting
with you.
I thought that this was happening. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm turning red. Luckily, the light is really bright. You can't tell. Let's see. I want to make sure interesting stream. Okay, I think
I'm
her
seeing
Wi-Fi.
double.
Oh my gosh, I'm seeing double. What is happening?
They said your Wi-Fi is going cuckoo. Oh, someone says nice wig, so at least they can see your wig.
I didn't see anything on Instagram, so
Here we go.
I was
It's
worried.
working.
Maybe she's
It's
going to
working.
inform.
Okay, it's working fine.
Okay.
Thank you for the...
Yeah, why can't I see? I can't see it either.
Oh no! Okay, I'm sorry guys. We're having some technical difficulties, but welcome to book club. Okay, we're back. I'm seeing all the comments. Yeah, new wig color. We're good. All right. That's how we know if people are watching. Is like, I'm gonna put you to the test.
Hair?
What color wig am I wearing? Can you really see me? Okay. Anyways,
but they can. So good.
I can see the comments, which is all we need to see, I guess. I don't need to stare at myself. Oh wait, I can hear. Anyway.
You can stare anywhere you want. In a second, I will show some pictures that will be... Actually, they'll be on the Zoom, so you can see them on the Zoom. Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties, but I'm glad that we're all together now. Happy April Fool's Day! I saw someone in the comments was like, maybe it was a prank. An April Fool's joke. Like,
I hate April Fools.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan. Because I'm so gullible. I'm always like, no way!
Yes. Are any of you guys April Fool's people? Or in the comments, do you guys do April Fool's? I've never really... I always forget. Like, yeah, I never think of it.
I know. I always forget, too. I was trying to think of something to fool Matt with today, but then I was just like, whatever. But I saw on Instagram somebody gave their husband a box of Krispy Kremes, and inside was a veggie tray.
Oh, that's funny. Like, I like it when it's simple and, like, just, like, simple and, like, to the point.
Simple and funny, not hurtful, not, like, scary.
Well, that's pretty hurtful. I mean, if you're expecting Krispy Kremes and
but, like, I think
carrots.
It's sad when people do ones that, like, are harmful, you know, or, like, they, like, call their husband crying, like, I just got in an accident.
No.
Oh, terrible.
Oh, my gosh. Like, what? That, like, gives me anxiety.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't actually do that.
Well, it's like... New Girl, we've talked about this before. Winston and New Girl, like, he just took pranks way too far. Like, they were either way too small or no one even noticed it, or they were, like, so extravagant. Like, letting a possum, was it a possum?
It was a badger.
At someone's wedding, like,
or
that's just not funny.
That's the thing about pranks. It's hard to find that line, and I feel like we face this every time on tour. Like, so, for anybody that goes to a concert, and if you see something kind of strange happening, it's either just a mistake or something weird, or a lot of times there's end of tour pranks that, like, it's like a thing in the music industry. And so the last night of tour, if there's like an opener and a headliner, they do a prank on each other, and it has to kind of happen on stage. And so if you ever, like, so you guys probably some of you saw on social media, I posted, like, Amy Lee came out to sing with me dressed as Chewbacca. You know,
oh yeah,
perfect end of tour prank. Like, didn't destroy the show. Weird enough that people were like, what's happening? Made me crack up. But it's really hard to find that line of, like...
Did you guys see that one where the guy friend put it on the big screen of a baseball stadium or a basketball stadium proposing to a girl? That is not cool.
Wait, he was lying? He wasn't actually proposing?
The friend made it seem like the guy was proposing, and he was standing there like, no.
So the girl freaks, like, his girlfriend is like, oh my gosh.
Proposing, like, so happy, and he's like, no.
So, like, a third-party person put it up there that wasn't in the relationship?
And she, like, slaps it. Didn't she slap him?
Yeah, she slaps him.
Like, runs away.
And then to get him back, this actually was hilarious. They went to, like, a professional basketball game, and you know when you do, like, the blindfold free throw, and you can win, like, a ton of money. So they had set it up where the whole crowd was educated to cheer as if he had won all the money. And so he shoots, he totally misses, and the crowd goes wild, and he takes it. And he's running around like he's the coolest guy ever, and then they're like, just kidding. That is so sad.
Well, the best is that his best friend, who they prank each other, the one that he pranked about the girlfriend, he comes out with the giant, like, I don't know, $10,000 check. And he's holding it, right. And so when the friend takes it, he's like jumping, and then he looks over and he just drops the check because he realizes. You guys have to watch it. So I bet if you type into YouTube like basketball prank, it would come up.
But that girlfriend one, that's like,
it's me.
That's
too much. Too much.
Can you imagine saying yes to someone to something as big as a proposal, and they're like, I don't
want to marry you.
I didn't ask.
I wasn't really ready for this. What is on your shirt, Lindsay?
Oh, it's a little pig.
A pig?
It's
it's so cute.
Right? I thought it looks like Wilbur.
Yeah, is it
yes.
Wilbur?
I don't know. I was actually on the Whitney Cummings podcast like a few weeks ago, and it was so funny. She was wearing this shirt, and I'm like, I love your sweatshirt. She's like, oh, really? Okay, well, as soon as we're done with the podcast, I'll give it to you. And I was like, oh no, like really, you don't have to give it to me. And sure enough, as soon as we're done, she just like took it off and said goodbye to me in her bra and was like, have a nice time. I loved having you. I'm like, well, thanks. So anyways, I love it.
I love it.
It's amazing.
That's true friendship there.
Yeah, I know. We're like good friends now.
Straight off her back, literally.
Right? It's Christianity in action.
I love it.
I also have something kind of fun. I went onto Facebook and went down memory lane, and I pulled up some photos of us from the past. And they kind of deal with like stories that we've tried to share and tried to explain, or some of us tried to show pictures, but I was like, let me just find these. Also sad, they're not like great quality because I pulled them off Facebook, but anyways, I'm gonna share my screen for a second here.
But isn't it funny when you look at pictures that like you thought were like super high quality back in the day, and now you're like, oh, this actually is not that great of a picture.
Yes.
Oh
okay, so this is me and Caitlin. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Go.
Okay, so Caitlin, when is this?
I don't even know. I know that, I mean, it's Silly String, but what the heck? I don't even remember.
It's funny. I was like, I don't remember this either, but I just thought it's hilarious. Look at, like, my face. I'm having the time of my life. First of all, in pajama pants with Silly String draped around everybody. And I'm pretty sure this is when, so by the way, everybody, this is when Caitlin and I were mission companions in New York City. That's where we met. And I just die over this picture because as a missionary, you don't have a lot of like recreational activities. So like all we did was like do service and teach people and read our scriptures, and like it's very regimented. And so the thought of like, let's bring home Silly String and get the other sister missionaries.
Someone. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what we did, and we look so, I don't know.
Like the fact that we wanted to like document Silly String.
Exactly. It's like, okay, everybody now. Like, also, no one was there to take the picture. We like set this up and timed the picture because this was such an important, fun moment that we had to capture. Like,
I love the blow-up mattress in the back and the standard church couch and the.
Oh yes, I didn't even notice the couch.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Yeah, and that desk.
Yep.
You would look at this and be like, I already know what this is. Look like a couch.
Yep. It's either that or like a dorm room, you know?
Yes.
Terrible.
Some terrible situation. Okay, let's go. Yeah. Okay. We told you guys about this last week, how when me, Whitney, and Caitlin were roommates our last year of college, I believe, we decided to be, for Halloween, what were we, Whitney?
Like Playboy, what do we call it? Reject.
We were Playboy Bunny Rejects. Yeah. So we were like as if we auditioned to be Playboy bunnies and got rejected because like, look at this, like these costumes were like matted fur and like look at my ear it has a bite out of it.
I love how you're also wearing a wig.
Yes, well, because you wanted to be blonde with us.
It was just so funny because so many like girls on Halloween, you know, would just like dress sexy just because like it was their chance, their opportunity to be sexy. So Lindsay is like,
Let's be not sexy.
Let's try to be as unsexy as possible.
No, I'm pretty sure, well, at least this is what I thought. Maybe I made it up, but we came up with it because Brooke was a sexy hunchback. Like, was it that year or the year before?
The
and
year
I was like,
before.
that is so funny to be something that's like not cute, but like try to make it sexy.
Try to make it sexy, yeah.
And I was like, we gotta do something. Oh my gosh.
So
but
good.
Those are little like, I don't even know, wrist cuffs are paper.
Oh yeah! I ran out of time. I made these costumes,
Lindsey
by
did
the way.
it all, of course.
Yep, she did it. Everything.
I made them, and I think I just ran out of time, so I was like, our cufflinks are gonna be... Why are we wearing cufflinks anyway?
Somebody asked, did you get numbers that night? No. Did
I
you
don't-
ever get
I don't
Nicole to
think
ask for
so.
our numbers?
And I think it was like hard to explain our costume too. So many people were like confused.
What?
Oh
They
yeah,
were like-
people are like, what are you? But, there's another picture of costumes in here. Oh, well, first...
Oh my gosh.
Jenny!
This is me and Janny. Look at my hair. Janny, these were your old dance costumes that you brought for us to, like, play in college. We're playing...
The best was when we would pull the hoods up because it was like, oh, they were so funny. We did a lot of fun things with this outfit.
Well, and this is us. We dressed in these and put the hoods up so that we could run to...
Incognito.
yeah, we were trying to, like, be stealth. I mean, how much more can you stand out than wearing shiny black? But we were, like, running through the apartment complex, and we were going to, our guy friend's apartment to steal this, the love sack, and steal it.
The funny thing about these costumes is that, so one was mine and one was my sister's, and it was to the song Miss Independence by Carol Lee Clarkson.
Yes.
And so underneath these outfits, we had on like business attire things. And so part of the song was like unveiling, like getting out of this restricted costume. So it's just really funny to me.
I can imagine trying to get these off in the middle of a dance. They were, I mean, even the fingers are in them.
So funny.
I remember we were so proud that we got this love sack to our apartment. It was
on top of your, didn't we put it on top of your car?
Yeah, that's your car in the back that you had. Is that yours?
Yes, that's my car. I had that until a few years ago, even.
There you go.
Oh, so funny. Okay, next. Okay, here's the other Halloween costume.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about this.
This was the rainbow. Again, I think, yes, I made all the skirts.
You made
Yes, you did.
I remember being so proud of them. Looking at them now, I'm like, these are so crappy. These are. I went to Joann's and like picked out all the fabric. I was so excited.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, we had this. Oh, I forgot. We had the spandex, silver spandex.
Yes. Oh yeah, to make sure we were modest.
Oh my heck.
And our hair. We dyed our hair. Oh my gosh.
That was so fun.
So fun. And that was another
You
time.
guys look so happy though. Like all of you.
It was so fun.
It's fun.
Everybody was again like, "What are you?" And then we
Were
don't.
we like? What were we? Just the rainbow or Skittles? I don't
We were
remember.
rainbow because we'd get in order and we'd all go like this, and they were like, "No, don't get it still." And we're like, "We're a rainbow." Everyone thought we were Fanta girls.
Oh, that's right. The Fanta girls. That's what it was. Everyone thought we were. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh,
But this was before Pinterest, so like these are genuine original ideas.
right before
people.
Instagram too, and before like
Yes.
you could Google everything. Like there weren't.
Yep.
Like you actually. I was thinking about that the other day. Like when you had to think of an idea, you just had to like think of an idea.
Use your brain.
Lindsay, not much has changed from then to now.
I know. Feeling the purple still. What can I say? Someone was asking, who was asking, why isn't Lindsay orange? Oh, McGillicuddy 22. Well, you see, I think Michelle claimed orange first before I could. This is Michelle.
I don't even remember how we picked our colors. To be
I think
honest.
we just let everybody pick, and
You got stuck with the purple.
I don't know. Maybe I don't remember. Maybe this is
I don't
prior
either.
to my favorite color being orange. Maybe we drew out of a hat to make it fair. I don't know.
I mean, my favorite color is blue, but I don't remember how we picked. Yeah, I don't either. I think we were just like, okay, I'll be right.
Yeah, take a color. Okay,
Oh,
let's see.
good.
All right, I think there might be one more picture, and then Oh, this is the one Caitlin was talking about. Okay.
Kind of show.
Fire hydrant?
Yeah, it was so cold.
Frozen solid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But like,
okay, but that you gave me that coat. You called it puffy, and I continued to wear it my entire mission. Really? But the best part is it was a down coat. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
And or filled with down, but it had a small hole on it. So anytime I'd sit down at someone's house, which most of the time you wouldn't like undress, I'd sit down and it'd go, you know, like that, and the feathers would fly out of the hole. Like I just did. And if I remembered, I would cover up the hole so it wouldn't, you know, like.
Let's see.
And New York City is so cold.
I know that looks like Miss Cole. You look like you're in a dark alley.
We probably.
Yeah,
well, okay,
probably.
so Zane727 is asking, what do you do, or what is happening here? And so I'm pretty sure we were just walking home one night, and we passed this scene, and we saw it, and so we ran to the alley, and we had to take a picture of it.
It was frozen solid.
I think a stranger.
I don't know
stranger.
if we asked somebody.
Just, yeah.
Honestly, Lindsay was really good at like getting it, and then we just kind of.
Oh yes,
like
sometimes. Yeah, we would
timer.
just balance it on things and take pictures, but we might have had someone take this one. It's pretty nicely framed, if I do say so myself.
Yes.
Also,
walked by.
our hats. Can we just like? Like,
you're so cold though that when I first saw people wearing them, I'm like, those are weird. Actually, they were kind of in style at that time, honestly. But then I got one and I wore it for the rest of my mission because it was so freaking cold there.
yeah. I remember my mom, before I went to New York City, you know, I was trying to get cute things and matching things, and she was like, Lindsay, you're not going to care once it's that cold. And I was in my mind like, yes, I will. I'm never going to wear that. Oh my gosh. If it was warm,
you don't care.
It didn't matter. Like, we wore sweatpants under this.
I have on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guarantee.
We had pants under our skirts.
We did.
I one time was driving from my house in Pennsylvania to New York City, and I was probably like in junior high, and my dad refused to stop, and we got stuck on a turnpike where you're like underneath forever. Long story short, I peed my pants because he wouldn't stop, and it was that cold outside, and I literally had a frozen butt. It was the worst. It was worse. And I'm pretty sure it destroyed my bladder, so
ever since. Dang it.
Oh my gosh. Zane727 says my grandfather has this hat.
Your grandfather has great style.
Yes. Good thing I love old people. Kidding.
I think that's the end of the photo reel, and I mean I had more, but I was like, this is enough. I don't want to spill all the beans at once. But
Yes.
I will
leave some to the imagination.
Yes. Okay. We're back. So, anyways, fun trip down memory lane. Oh my gosh! Someone donated a ton of bits, so thanks for donating 200
biddies.
Or is that $200 of biddies? It's sorry.
I have no idea.
It's Jaguar. Thank you, Jaguar. That's awesome, and that goes to the Upside Fund. So also, just for everybody, all the profits from this channel. So if you've subscribed or if you donate money or anything like that, all of the monies goes towards the charity that I've started. It's called the Upside Fund, and it goes back to our own community of Stirlingites. And I mean, basically I have an email where anyone can email me and let me know what their needs are, and usually we focus on people with medical crises, and we help so they can pay their other bills while they're going through medical situations. So anyway, so that's what the money is going to. Thank you so much, Jaguar, and thank you to everybody for subscribing. Not only does subscribing just add to a good cause, but also it allows you to get the really cute little Lindsay emojis. Very egocentric of me, but if you have them, guys, put them in the comments so people can see how cute they are. I love the little emojis. And also it allows you to be part of the subs only section of the Discord, and I go on there multiple times a week and answer all the questions and chat with you guys. Also, anybody can be a part of the Discord, the regular Discord, and you just type !Discord to join. All right.
Yay. Well, you gotta get all that out of.
Gotta get all that out.
Yeah, get it out.
Okay, now transferring to book club. So for anybody who wasn't here or was here last week, we didn't finish chapter 4. So we're gonna kind of close up chapter 4 because chapter 5 was so short. And honestly, even though it was like a really great concept, I hope you guys have more to say about it because I was like, So we'll spend some time on chapter 4 before we go on. But also before we hit it, I want to share I love seeing what you guys think of the book club. And so I'm going to share with you what Alicia, who is, I believe, Prism Sterlingite, wrote into the email. She says, I'm so enjoying the book club. The book has opened me up to trying to love myself more and making strides towards a better me. I've never been super confident in myself, and I've always wanted things to go a certain way. This is opening me up to sharing how I feel and learning what vulnerability truly is. Thank you so much for your wise words every Thursday. I leave each club feeling inspired and loved. So I thought that was so sweet. Thank you, Alicia, for sharing that.
You are loved.
You are, and everybody here is loved, and I can't even tell you, I look forward to this. I just enjoy this, like, the conversations. I enjoy seeing your comments, and I love that it feels just very, like, tight-knit and like a little family here. So thanks for everybody coming and being a part. Also, okay, I think to start the book club, Whitney, I was curious, since you weren't here last week, I'm going to put you on the spot. Was there anything from chapter 4 that you loved and wanted to share with us?
There was a lot. But I'll share maybe like 1-2 main things that I loved. The first was on page 123, and it was practicing gratitude. And that just really stood out to me right now for some reason. I've just always believed that gratitude equals joy. And I used to be a teacher. I used to teach 8th grade health. Woo! I miss it. I miss it a lot. But that was one of my lessons that I taught. And I put on the board, gratitude equals joy. And I taught about gratitude. It was one of my favorite lessons. And so I loved reading this because it just reminded me of that and how I want to practice that more in my life. And Lindsay, I remember you might have mentioned this in the book club last week, that you had a gratitude journal, or that you still do have a gratitude journal, because I love that. I want to start doing that. It just really, this part of the book just really gave me motivation to be more grateful and like actually do something about it, like practicing it in my life.
Yes. And Janny, I forget what you shared, but I remember I really liked it. I was like, that's a really cool practice, because like I always talk about my gratitude journal and I still do it, but you said something else that you do to practice gratitude that I really liked, and now I can't remember.
Stop and actually say it out loud. Like, I'm feeling really grateful. Was it that one?
Yes. Stopping in the moment. Yeah, taking a pause to like acknowledge, not just like at the end of the day, but in the moment. And also, I was like, what a great way to teach your kids, and just also the people around you, that like that's important to you. Yes.
Yeah, and it will make it like more real in your brain. It'll be easier to remember, like, because Jenny, you talked about how you think about how you feel, what you smell, what you hear, and all of those things as you take the time to like really savor that moment, and it makes it something that you'll create a memory that will last longer too.
So. Yeah, make it become a part of who you are almost. Like, it's like if any of you have gone to Hawaii, the first time I went there, like I looked around and it was so beautiful that it was almost like upsetting that I couldn't take it in. Like I couldn't just like breathe it into me. So now like that practice of like stopping and acknowledging all those senses, it's almost a way of making that moment a part of who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I loved how she talked. What was it, her daughter, when she was telling the story? The picture memory.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying, taking a picture memory.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that too. And on page 125, number 1, she says, joy comes to us in moments, ordinary moments. We risk missing out on joy when we get too busy chasing down the extraordinary. And we've kind of discussed that a little bit in the previous chapters, just of like being afraid to be ordinary, when really it's like the ordinary moments that are what bring us the most joy. And so it just made me stop and think, just about taking more of like those picture memories and really appreciating the little moments. I think especially right now for me, it's like being a mom and like finding joy in those little moments and remembering those. And Caitlin, you've even talked about a long time ago in Marco Polo, like remembering certain sounds that your children make, or like certain smells that. Do you remember that, Caitlin?
Mm-hmm.
When like you mentioned like remembering the sound of like your toddler running down the hall, and like those like little things are really the big things, you know, in life. Mm-hmm. So I just love the reminder of being grateful and reminding myself that that's where joy comes from, is having gratitude.
Yeah, I love that. And it just all comes back to like, what perspective are you viewing your life through? Are you know, because what perspective you view it through is going to determine everything about how you feel. Like, so much is more about that than it is about situation. You know, like your situation can only change you so much, but you can change your life the most by the way you view it. And, you know, and this also is taking out extreme situations, of course. But I found that, yeah, more than situation, my perspective is more what changes the way I feel about myself.
And that gives, go ahead.
I was just going to read a comment, so you can go ahead from somebody.
Oh, well, I was just thinking that, I mean, in recognizing that, it shows that you have a lot more control over your life, you know, than you are like you said, except the extremes where, you know, there's need for help outside of that. But like a lot of times, you know, it's not situational, and that just means that you have the opportunity through being grateful or taking in those small moments, you can change your attitude. And I always say that to my kids, like when they're just like really upset about something silly, you know, I'm like, okay, let's think about what you're feeling and why you're feeling that. And then, you know, we can kind of evaluate and move on. And you have a lot of power, your brain and your, you know, what you're choosing. You can feel those things, but you can also think about it and move on. And I don't know. Yeah.
So Zane77 says, I've been struggling to practice gratitude this year because of what I'm going through today. So I wonder, and anyone in the chat can answer this, if I should let myself feel what I feel before I can bring myself to practice gratitude again. And I think it's, one of the most important things is that people oftentimes identify their feelings with who they are. Like, it becomes we so much draw attention to, like, if I'm angry, then I must be an angry person, which feelings are feelings, and you have to feel them and you have to acknowledge them, because if you stop acknowledging them, they can take over or they can start to numb themselves out. Mm-hmm. And I think some people confuse gratitude with toxic positivity, which isn't actually practicing gratitude. Like, you can't just well wish everything that's hard in your life away. Like, it doesn't, you can act as positive as you want in a circumstance or situation, and it doesn't change necessarily the situation or how hard it is. But like Lindsey said, by focusing on gratitude, as hard as things can be, there always are ways to feel grateful in situations and circumstances. And that doesn't dismiss the hardship or the struggle or the trial.
Yeah.
You acknowledge those things because those are real, and they're, like, for example, even like with what Caitlin just said, like if a child is experiencing something that to an adult seems silly, to the child it's actually really, it might be really important. That's why I love that book, The Little Prince, so much, because to the child it's the world, but to us adults who've had a little bit more experience, we understand and see from a different perspective that this isn't the end of the world. But you address it where they're at, just like we address where we're at feelings and emotion wise, and acknowledge that. And by acknowledging it, it gives us control, a bit more control, to then, again, express gratitude and feel joy in that experience. So practice gratitude, even if it says, should I let myself feel what I feel before I can bring myself to practice gratitude? I would practice gratitude while you're feeling what you feel.
Yes. I was going to say they don't have to be conflicting emotions, no. You know, because there's a difference even between happiness and joy, you know, and I don't know. I feel like the more I've gained like emotional maturity, you know, something that we are all constantly growing in, I've realized that not all emotions have to be conflicting. Like recently, I can talk about it, I feel like, because I mentioned it on a podcast, actually the Whitney Cummings podcast. I went through a breakup recently, and I feel like I'm in a place now where I can talk about it without being, but I've realized like there's a difference between being super depressed and being sad, but still being in a like I'm okay state. Like I can, and I felt that even in the last few weeks. It's like, oh, I'm still sad about that situation, and I miss him. I miss the future that I thought I might have with him, and that can make me sad. But it doesn't mean that I can't still be in a state of like, but my life is good. And it took me a while to get there. At first, it was very hard. And even though I was trying to practice gratitude, I accepted that this is hard and this hurts, and I need to sit in this sadness for a little bit, maybe a month. And then getting past it and realizing I can, not all things are conflicting. And that's why it's sometimes really hard, because as humans, we have very conflicting needs and wants and, desires and fears. Like they all are kind of mixed in there. So it's hard to sometimes piece them about.
Well, it's like you said last week too, Lindsay. It's like you sat in that sacred moment with your dad where you guys were sharing such beautiful experiences of connection that you had with him, and the joy was totally present even though he was passing.
Yeah.
It's like two totally conflicting emotions, which is
right.
That's why emotions are so crazy, is because they oftentimes are conflicting, and like the root emotion half the time isn't what we're actually feeling. Like some people can feel extreme anger, which is a secondary emotion, when really they're just so sad deep down. Like they're conflicting, and they're hard and they're difficult, and we always acknowledge them. But gratitude, you'll never go wrong practicing gratitude.
Absolutely. That is beautiful. And I now want to actually hear from the chat. So can you guys put in the chat, did anyone have a good experience with our challenge from last week? And our challenge, one of our challenges that we gave last week was to not treat people as objects. Because I thought that was a pretty powerful thing that she talked about last week. And we were like, hey, like what could we do this week to not treat people as objects in our daily little tiny interactions? And so I want to see, did anybody get a chance to practice that? And I think we'll just look at the chat for a second. And maybe while we're waiting for the chat, did any of you guys have get to do that or have an opportunity to do that?
I'm trying to think if I had any interaction with the outside world last week.
I will say I did go to Trader Joe's, and I think I went twice last week. And I remember making a point to like make eye contact with the person that was checking out my groceries and talking to them. And I can't even tell you, like, it was just so cool to see the physical difference that I felt walking away from a real interaction. When we talked, we started to joke around a little bit, and I think about asparagus, like, whatever, and it was just like this tiny little interaction, and it left me feeling so much better than if I'd just been like gone to my phone, which is our now it's our default mindset of like anytime you're sitting still, you just go to your phone. So that was an experience for me that was like, wow, how true is it that when we treat people as people, it not only makes them feel good, but it makes us
even more so, probably.
Yeah, honestly. You says, I never treat people as objects. Good for you. That's amazing. I talked to someone for about this is Spectacular Sterling. I talked to someone for about 5 minutes while waiting for someone else to open a door. It felt really good not to be on my phone the entire time. Yeah.
Nice.
You see the one about, it didn't happen last week, but my mom went to Chili's. This is Prism Sterling. Went to Chili's to pick up food one day, and a lady complimented my mom on her hair, and she said she's always wanted that color. It made my mom feel better, and it was such a sweet reaction. That's cute. I like that.
I love that. Because, you never know, like, what a, small compliment will mean to somebody. Because, have you ever been in a situation where you just, a simple compliment just, meant the world to you? I can't think of a specific experience, but I know there have been times when I was feeling very, insecure about something or bad, and someone just said something that I was like, I got this,
Yeah.
Yes!
we went for a walk, me and my boys, and we passed a lady. So I was on one side of the road, and there was a road, and then she was on the other side putting some flowers out, and I was like, your flowers look great. And she didn't hear me at all. So I said it louder. She still didn't hear me. And my boys were like, Mom, stop yelling.
He's like, I'm just trying to compliment.
Yeah, Kenneth was like, why are you yelling at that lady? And I was like, I'm trying to be nice. And then I was like, at least I'm putting positive energy out, even if it didn't get received. Like, maybe she didn't have very good hearing, but I tried, man. I tried.
You know what, though? I think, like, situations like that, like, I know this with my kids, they take notice of things. Like, if we are ever at a stoplight and which I don't carry cash, like, ever. And so, like, if you're at a stoplight and somebody's there, you know, waiting for, like, you know, panhandling or whatever, like, my kids are like, Mom, you didn't give them anything. But, like, you know, when you do, it's so crazy to see the reaction of children. Like, they pay attention. So the fact that you were, you know, yelling across the street, they'll one day remember, yeah, Mom would talk to all sorts of strangers to tell them nice things.
And, like, give compliments liberally. I love that. And I see two more comments that I loved. Super Spiffy Guy, I like that, says, my job has me going into homes every day to fix their internet. This week was a good week to look at the families and individuals whom I was visiting as real people and affecting something that greatly affected their lives during quarantine instead of just another problem house I was driving to. So, like, giving purpose, you know, giving purpose and, like, and also just make, like, the whole thing about treating people as objects isn't, like, it doesn't even mean that you're treating them terribly and throwing them like you would a ball. It just means that they're just not a person. And how often, you know, do we just treat someone like they're not really like a person? And humanizing any situation suddenly makes you feel things and connect. And then one other one I liked, I love to overtip waiters and waitresses. This is from Starling 1318. And if they seem like they're having a bad day, sometimes I ask them if they want to talk about anything. That's really kind. I love those. Like, I remember in the early days of YouTube, there used to be these YouTube videos a lot more where people would, like, over tip or leave, like, a huge tip for, like, a waitress, and then they'd hide a camera and, like, watch their reaction. Those would, like, make me cry.
I know, because they're so sweet. They're so simple, but they really do. Like, you never know the ripple effect. That's, like, too, the other thing, like, you see those pass it on kindness challenges where someone does something nice for someone and then that inspires another kindness act and it gets to the person. I think I told you guys that story where I was like, went to Chick-fil-A did I tell you remember that story?
Yeah.
So I was like super pregnant. Like, I think I was like 8 months pregnant and I didn't eat lunch or breakfast because I had to take my daughter to the hospital for a bunch of tests and she couldn't eat. And because she couldn't eat, I didn't want to eat in front of her because she had a spasm. And so we spent all day in the hospital and it was like super late. And she had literally, I'm in the front seat with her, passed out basically because she was still on light anesthesia, getting over it. And like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so, like, I got to get her home, but I was like to the point where I don't think I can drive. I'm going to starve. So anyways, because my pregnant blood sugar low. So I pulled into Chick-fil-A and just ordered super quick. And the person in front of me paid for my meal. And I get to the front and I was sobbing so hard that the guy was like, like the cashier dude was like, go. And then I saw the guy at the corner just waving to me, and I was just, he has no idea.
Yeah.
What it was to me. Like,
well, he had no idea. What you could have just been out like for a midnight snack with your friends, having a great night. Like, it didn't matter to him. You know, he wanted to just do something, and he had no idea that you needed that.
It was such a hard day watching and cried, and it was very sweet. And it was such a simple thing. He has no idea. But one day I'm like, one day I'll find who you are and give you a hug. And thank you. You know.
I was. Sorry. Go on, Caitlin.
And this is something that my parents taught me. Like, when you do something for someone, it's really nice to do it anonymously, because then that person doesn't have anyone to thank but God. And so, like, you know, or put out positive energy to somebody else, and that creates momentum. So, like, even though you can't hug that person, you can hug somebody else that needs it, and you can, I love the idea of it just paying forward and creating more gratitude, like rather than just for a person, but gratitude in general.
Right. I love that, Caitlin. I never thought of it like that. I love it.
I also like Analog Kid 75 says, I talk to the janitor at work. Usually I'm absorbed by work and I don't appreciate those who, and I don't show appreciation to those who take out the trash. He smiled and it made me feel good and my day was better. And it's just cool that like even something as simple as like talking to somebody or smiling at somebody can have like what Caitlin was talking about, that same ripple effect to like they might go on and like go out of their way to be like, how are you today? Just like the little things, and it's all about the little things is what will change like the world. Let's see if there's any more.
This Monarch Mike says, stopping to praise a person who has been working hard to clean up and plant their garden, pulling over, jumping out, helping out because it seemed like the right thing to do. Made a new friend, helped a new friend, took nothing to make a new friend.
Yeah. British Benji also says, one time I was at Mo's restaurant and I was about to order when the worker was crying and I asked if she was okay. She told me her grandfather had just died and her boss wouldn't let her take a break even though she was begging. I refused to take an order and told the boss that I wasn't going to order until he got someone else to take my order because this woman needs a break.
Oh.
Way to stand up, British Benji. Stand up for the cause.
Well, too, honestly, think about, and I think we're going to get into it in the next chapter, but so I won't go too much, but the ability, the culture in companies and organizations, families, if you don't treat people like humans, it's a harsh environment to be in. And I think sadly, we've transitioned a lot to not consider people as people, and they're just objects, and it destroys. So good job standing up.
Awesome. Well, do you guys want to dive in? Let's dive into chapter 4 a little bit more. I think around page 51, 51, 51, 152 for anybody who's following along. Again, we're reading Daring Greatly. And I should also say the reason that I love this book so much is, one, it really inspired me so much in my writing as a musician. This was the whole thing. This book inspired my whole Brave Enough album. And I really like to draw inspiration from different things as a writer. And also I honestly don't think I would be able to make it as a musician if I didn't have practices like the stuff it talks about in this book to help me deal with my own feelings of inadequacy. I don't know if I would have been able to get over some of these hurdles that like I went through in the past when I didn't know if I would be brave enough to write another album, and I was so scared. And actually I was talking to Janny on the phone and she recommended me read this book to help me get through this like fear that I was facing. So this book has helped me create music, it's helped me be an artist, and that's why I really wanted to read this book with you guys. And I think it applies to everybody. Okay, so this section that we're going to talk about right now, it talks about the Viking or victim mentality. I don't know if you guys have much to say about this, but it was interesting to me because I was surprised that so many people think this way. Did that surprise anybody else, or is this something that rang true to anybody? This Viking or victim, or let's talk about what Viking or victim means. Does anybody want to kind of mention that, or
you're either the hero or the person being saved,
or you're either the attacker or you're the weak that's being attacked. Like it's like these extremes of like you're either on top or you're on bottom, and there's no variance. And how is that viewpoint detrimental?
I mean, I've been in a workforce space where the head was like this, and it created a very unhealthy environment for all the employees, because you could never be right and you could never be wrong. Like, it was either you're the hero saving the day or you were the victim in the situation. And so it prevented creativity, growth, development, connection. It prevented so much from happening with this mentality. And it is a trickle trickle down effect, because it affects everyone around you.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have like a list of have you seen in some companies that have like your performance somehow is like ranked, and really everyone obviously wants to be on the top. And like, I don't know, I've seen it happen where I'm like, that's just not effective, to like, yeah, you're shaming everyone, but the person who's on top pretty much is got something, which we all know we have things to do to be better and stuff, but like putting it out there for everyone. My dad talked about having something like that happen at work, and he was like, it was just demoralizing. Like everybody just was like so embarrassed.
Yeah, it doesn't motivate people. Because there are definitely like healthy, friendly competition is very different from shaming people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and also like if it is in a work environment and people are being ranked, it's like that does not foster teamwork. It does not foster the fact that no one gets to the top by themselves. So if you're saying that everyone's either a Viking or a victim, it's like it takes 1 million people to help you get to like wherever you felt like you were a Viking or a hero. And also, like, I think it gets very dangerous anytime we put things into extremes, like that you either win or you lose. You're either weak or you're strong, you're good or you're bad. Because if you put things in these extremes, it takes out the fact that almost all of us kind of just fluctuate. Like we all have like we all feel strong sometimes, we all feel weak sometimes, we all make good choices, we've all made bad choices. And when you put them into extreme, like Jenny was saying, it you start to think just because like I'm angry today, it means I'm an angry person, or like you kind of start attaching yourself to the moments or the different parts of yourself, which they're all there. And we all fluctuate between being the hero and sometimes being the one that needs to be saved. Like we all experience both. And so to say
it's not
that
black and white.
Yeah, it's never black and white. Also, if you live in this mentality, thinking that you're either a victim or a Viking, that's the kind of mentality where you take everything super personally. Like, if someone cuts you off in traffic, that was an attack, and I'm not going to be a victim. And it's like a personal thing suddenly, and you're like honking at the other car. Like, they don't know who you are. It was probably an accident, most of the time. Like, they probably didn't mean to cut you off. But it's just like, everything that happens suddenly, if someone does something at work, it's like, oh, they meant to, slight me. Like I would think that if you're living in that mentality, everything would become very personal, which I really try hard to live in the opposite mindset, that most of life isn't personal. Most of the decisions that everyone makes is because that's their perspective and that's what they need. It's usually not about that's what their friend, it's not to hurt their friend. It's not to hurt Lindsay. It's usually like that's what they did for themselves or their own needs. And life's just not usually, like, if you can take life not personally, you won't be so on guard all the time.
Yeah, and honestly, I know we've said this a million times, but I don't think there's as many people out there as people think that their goal in life is to make everyone else's life miserable. Like, yes. Most people are just doing the best they can with what they have and trying to live life. And when, like you said, when you have that Viking or victim mentality, a lot of blame comes in and a lack of responsibility.
Yes.
Like you'll take ownership when things are going great and not probably contributing some of those, like you said, to your team or those that helped you get there, but you're really quick to blame when things don't go as you'd like. And
yes.
you can't grow and develop like that.
Yeah. I like some of the comments people are sharing experience. Let's see. Francis Sun Photo says being equal in work is key in success. I have to photograph a gala with 2 other photographers I manage, and we do an amazing job because I let the other 2 photographers do their own style, and the client gets 3 styles of photography rather than me dictating everyone. So that's really cool. Like, because sometimes when you are like the superior, it is hard not to just be like, well, if this is on me, so I have to make sure that everyone's doing it right, but to like allow that trust to build with the other. Anyways, I thought.
And to foster growth. Like, think about this. Like, if you ever, like, let's say you have a really strong skill set at something and you have a teammate that doesn't quite yet, and you take it on the mentality of like, okay, this is going to be a mentorship and we're going to like work together. You're both fostering connection and growth together. Like, yes. But if you're like dictating it's going to be this way, you're preventing that innovation, and you're also preventing yourself from opening up. Like, guess what? You may not have the best ideas all the time.
Yeah.
And you need
Newsflash.
other people. Like, yeah. Like,
Well,
you need other people.
Sorry, go on.
Nope, that's it.
Oh.
We need other people. We need them.
Well, and it's like, it's funny, when we play games as a family, my mom is so funny. She'll be like, oh, I never win. But we're like, Mom, there's 8 people playing. So, like, if you're winning on, like, a good average, you'll win 1 out of 8 times. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's like, if you're in a group of 15 people, you better believe that, like, 1 out of 15 times, your idea probably won't be, is not going to be the best. And it doesn't always have to be the best. Like, because if you're actually in a good environment letting people shine, your idea should probably only be the best every few times, you know, if you're allowing it to be a safe place for other people. Like, you want to be in a work environment or in any, like, with friends or something that make you grow, and so you better hope that you're not always right all the time.
Yeah. So true.
I don't know if that analogy made sense, but that made sense to me.
I did. I liked too how she pointed out just how, like, with our soldiers and stuff in the United States, and I'm sure other countries as well, just, you know, how they're almost taught this mentality for survival's sake. And the reason I'm bringing this up is just how she ended this section by talking about how important it is for us to help people who've been... Sorry, what, Jenny?
I was going to say, bring them in, like, make them a part of our community again, because they've had to have this mentality in order to
survive.
To survive, and how detrimental it is to try to get recommitted back into that part really hit me strong. Like they said, more soldiers have died from suicide than in some of these wars. And even if we don't agree with war or why we're fighting, like, still opening our hearts to bring them back, because that's what will heal them, is reincorporating them back into our lives and society. That was really powerful.
On page 156, she said, they believe the most effective way to impact a veteran's life is through a meaningful relationship with someone in their community. So they develop that program to pair up a veteran with just someone in the community and do things. It reminded me of that event you went to, Lindsay, with homeless people, where they paired up someone. Anyway, just something as simple as that helps the veteran so much. And then she said on 157, I invite everyone to find a way to reach out. Dare greatly and take actions that communicate to veterans or military families that they are not alone. Actions that communicate, your struggle is my struggle, your trauma is my trauma, your healing is my healing. And I love that, because she's just it's something that I don't think a lot of us think about. I know, for me, that is a way I can just tangibly help someone, is to think of people who've been in the military. And I'm like, that's such a good way to help that you can do now, you know? So I like that little challenge that she did there.
Yeah. That is really sweet, because there are programs where you can mentor or even write letters or different things. That was very, very cool. So
they're so ostracized. I mean, it's I think most people some people do it for survival, to go serve, but most of them feel like it's their duty to protect their country or whatever. And I just think that it's such a sensitive thing to be aware of.
Yeah. And something that I don't think about often, sadly. I should think about that more. It made me realize as I read that. So why is it that when people are afraid to be vulnerable, they sometimes resort to cruelty or criticism? And so let's go to page 167, I think, is kind of where she starts to talk about this. But I thought that was such a poignant and important statement that oftentimes, she basically says when people are really cruel or really critical, it's because they're not being vulnerable. They don't have that ability to be vulnerable, and that kind of leads them into being critical. So why is that lack of vulnerability can lead to cruelty or criticism of others?
You want me to read what she says?
Sure.
I think she does a good job.
Yeah.
if we are the kind of people who don't do vulnerability, and this is like halfway through 167, there's nothing that makes us feel more threatened and more incited to attack and shame people than to see someone daring greatly. That's because they themselves are like in fear. That causes fear in them, and probably jealousy and all sorts of other negative things. Someone else's daring greatly or daring provides an uncomfortable mirror that reflects back on our own fears about showing up, creating, and letting ourselves be seen. That's why we come out swinging. When we see cruelty, vulnerability is likely to be the driver.
Yeah. When you see cruelty, vulnerability is likely to be the driver. And it does give you a different perspective if you can because I know that when someone hurts my feelings or isn't kind to me, the last thing on my mind is, well, they're probably just having a lack of vulnerability, but I mean, if we could kind of stop and see it for what it really is, again, it goes back to not taking everything so personally. This probably isn't about me. The reason they're being cruel is probably because they're afraid. Probably because they don't feel adequate to be seen as they really are. They feel like they have to wear a mask, and they are using now cruelty as part of their mask.
The shield protection.
They're protecting themselves because they're afraid, and it kind of does put a different light on the situation if we can kind of go to that place in our mind.
That's why the huge anecdote of shaming somebody else or when you're feeling shamed is to practice empathy for them and for yourself. And I know we've talked about this a bajillion times, but oftentimes when people are either cruel or harsh about and judgmental about something, it's usually the very thing that they fear the most about being identified with. And vice versa, if they're being cruel about it, if we're judging somebody super harsh in a thing, it's the thing that if we feel the least empathetic towards ourselves with, as well. So I think it's anytime you find yourself, and like we talked about, in that judgmental state, ask, what's this saying about me?
Ooh, yes, that's painful. But or when you feel, hypercritical of somebody else, why do I feel this way? Why did I have such a strong reaction to them doing that? Why did it make me want to tear them down? You don't want
to be connected with that thing, which means you're not showing empathy for that thing, and that's the very thing that you would fear that if you were associated with, people would disconnect from you and shun you.
Well, think about every teenager movie. There's a bully, or the girl who's better, and there's always that background story where you find out, she has this struggle at home, or she's, or they're doing, I don't know, they have some bigger issue that's happening behind the scenes, and I think they portray that in movies a lot because that's honestly a lot of times what's happening behind the scenes with people.
Yes, I love it in TV shows or movies when they do that. It's almost like they're manipulating you on purpose because they're making you see that and they're drilling it into you that this person's bad, this person's mean, you shouldn't like them, and then they flip it on you, and all of a sudden you're just they're just a person. They're just a person who's going through something really hard, because you suddenly see that this is their situation. You are automatically empathetic to them as soon as you see their story. All the episodes leading up to that of you being oh, they're not good, can be switched in an instant when you suddenly see a fictional character's background. And so
Maleficent. It reminds me of Maleficent.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Maleficent.
I love that because you just always view her as the evil, and then they switch up on you.
Yeah.
Random, but no, that's perfect.
No, for sure. I mean, I loved Maleficent for that reason. It's taking one of the scariest childhood villains I can remember and turning her into a very empathetic character. And it's to think if we could just see and take a step back and realize that everybody has a story. And I remember I was in a speech one time, and I was listening to this guy speak, and he shared something that always has stayed with me. He said, it's impossible not to love someone if you truly knew their story. And I thought that was really powerful. If you really knew everybody's story, I don't think you could help but love them, almost everyone. Hi, Abigail! Let's see. I wanted to see some of these comments. someone said the same thing about bullies. I realized a lot of years later that most of the cruel ones were the ones suffering the most at home. Doesn't excuse anything, but is still so sad. And I hope we could have helped them when they needed it, instead of putting their anger and sadness towards someone else. And that's from Margot Sharon.
I know, because it's not okay for people to treat people badly. You know, even if their situation at home is, or whatever, even no matter what's going on, there's really no excuse. But at the same time, like you said, you know, maybe you could take a step back and use it to, rather than react to that in a way where you're hurting them back, or, you know, withdrawing, maybe find it as a way to say, like, I can tell that you're hurting, and if you ever want to talk about it, I don't know, that's always so hard. It's easier said than done, but like, just, you know, find a way somehow in those moments to reach out to them, and maybe that could change things for them. It doesn't have to be that way, you know.
Yeah, and I that's so true, because like, it doesn't excuse anything, but it does also, it makes us not harbor everything inside of us. Like, if you can understand, you know, that people's reactions to you like are probably more about them, it helps you not like hold on to like the anger, because it's hurtful when someone tries to hurt you, or it kind of can bolster you up and make you upset, and it would be healing just to think the opposite way, you know, like you were saying, Caitlin. And this could be in big moments. It could also be in like the little tiny moments, you know, just so, like, I remember Brooke, my sister, I always talk about her. She shared an experience with me where she was in a parking lot and she was like super duper pregnant.
Oh my gosh, this story literally made me cry.
I know, especially because I was like, I wouldn't have responded that way. I wouldn't have responded. And it made me be like, look into yourself, Lindsay. And anyways, I was like, try to be better in my everyday interactions. But she was trying to get her twins out of the car seats in her big truck as she's like 8 months pregnant, and she's like struggling, and a woman like was trying to park in the spot next to her and honks at her. Is this the story you were talking about, Caitlin? Oh, okay. And she honks at her, and because she couldn't see that Brooke was pregnant, and Brooke kind of looked around and was like, there's plenty of other parking spaces right over there. You know, like, and she kind of like put her hand out like 1 minute, and the car honks again. And so Brooke very justifiably could have shown her pregnant belly and been like, what the heck? But instead she just like leaned out and smiled, and she was like, sorry, you know. And she said that then the woman parked somewhere else and came over and apologized and explained she just had a really bad day. And they had a really sweet interaction where if I had been in that situation, I probably would have come out swinging and been like, what can't you see? And then we both would have been angry. Like, we both would have left that situation being like, well, she was a jerk, and she'd been like, she shouldn't have reacted that way, you know. But you can change situations based on the way that, if we have the courage to react without fighting back, without this Viking or victim mentality. If she had been in a Viking or victim mentality, then she would have been like, well, in order to not be the victim, I have to fight back. And, you know, anyway, so I've always...
Well, and she even... sorry, you missed a tiny bit of the story. Because,
please.
But it was just that, you know, she ended up having a quick conversation about being like, oh, I remember when I was a young mom, you know, and like made a connection. And then the woman goes and helped her adult handicapped son out of the car.
Oh, right.
Like,
I forgot that.
It wasn't just like she had a reason to park the closest parking spot, you know, like, and Brooke was like, oh, like, I get it now. And the woman, she understood Brooke understood her. Yes. And they were also able to connect in a way that, like, I don't know, I loved that story because it's, you know, there's so much when we give people grace and give, you know, people
just a little bit of understanding.
Yes, it can create connection and it can create understanding in a... Yeah, I love it.
Thank you. I forgot the most important part of the story.
The challenge next week should be something like give people a little grace for the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, I love that. That's a great challenge, Janny. So say that one more time.
Give people a little grace or benefit of the doubt that week.
Yeah.
So maybe that's, you don't flip somebody off that cuts you off, or I don't know. I don't get road rage, but my husband does, and I'm always like, what if their wife is home and the baby's barfing and you have no idea, you know?
I always tell myself if someone like cuts me off or something like that, I imagine that I'm going to pull up to the same place as them, because that's happened to me before where I kind of was like annoyed. I honked at a car that didn't go at the light, and then we pulled into the church parking lot at the same time, and I was like,
the church.
Okay. Yes. And I wasn't even like a bad thing, but it was like, you know, that when they're not paying attention and you have to do the, I wish I had a happy beep, but it's like, I'm like, sorry. But you know, but now I always think that like if I get super annoyed with somebody, I'm like, I have to think they're gonna pull up next to me and we're gonna go to the same place together, you know, like. And
you are a nice person, and you don't want them to think you're not.
Yes, I am a nice person.
Honestly, traffic, one thing that I think of, because I had an experience once where someone like really cut me off, and again, this doesn't make it okay, but you know, then she went super slow, and so I like, you know, kind of honked when she cut me off, and then I like went around her kind of to be like, show you, and it was this little old lady wearing like her best hat, and just like, you know, I was like, she probably spent all morning getting ready to go out on her drive. And so now, if anybody ever does something like, you know, because then I felt so bad and immediately took my foot off the accelerator. I was like, you know. But now,
you look great.
I imagine, like, the person in front of me, what if it was that cute little old lady in her hat that probably just didn't see my car?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I imagine if I ever have, like, that hint of, like, road rage.
Yeah, or like seriously, I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with my kids about not screaming in the car because I have anxiety, and when they do it, it like startles you, and sometimes you make stupid moves, not, you know, and so it's like you just never know. Like half the time people probably don't see, maybe they're not super aware. Like of course you want to be aware while you're driving, but sometimes we make mistakes and do dumb things, and we're not bad people for it.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a good
you're
challenge.
like, you need to figure out what your triggers are, because mine is definitely driving. I'm like, why am I always so embarrassed if I do something wrong and I'm in the car? I don't know why it's like so much bigger than like, you know, if you trip and fall, but if you like accidentally go when it's not your turn at a stoplight, you're like, I'm so sorry.
Well, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Like, potential for disaster, but you know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Or like you park weird.
One time I was driving with Erin, and we were in like American Fork, and she got on the freeway going the wrong way.
My sister did that once when she was learning to drive. We were all just like, so why am I not surprised that Erin did that?
I honestly, I'm pretty sure I almost lost my mind in the car with her. Like, but she was like, oh, sorry, and just like, you know, it wasn't a shame trigger for her, obviously, and I'm all, I was gonna die.
Yes. Oh, actually.
I know, we really need to have her again.
Oh, we should have Erin as a guest. She's hilarious. You guys would love Erin. I can't say enough. Like, I loved Janny's challenge. Sorry, going back to it, because I just feel like by giving people grace, I think you will very quickly see like really cool examples in your life of the story like Brooke shared about like, I decided not to get upset and just give them the benefit of the doubt, and then I realized. And I like literally I'm thinking about it, and I was like, I had an experience like that this week where I was talking to like a friend, and anyway something came up, and I decided I don't think she means that personally. I'm not going to say anything. You know, I'm going to choose not to be kind of offended by that. And then when she continued on with the rest of what she was saying, like she later hit me up like hours later and just said how much it meant to her, that conversation, that she was just able to speak, you know, express herself. And I was like, I am so glad I did not take offense at that thing that she said, because she didn't mean it offensively, you know, and it would have ruined a very authentic, true moment that we had, like, just because I was kind of like, you know. So I think very quickly as you take this challenge, you will start to see little ways that it's like, how many times have I ruined little moments for myself, for others, you know, by just not giving the benefit.
And even if they're being poop faces, like, you're still going to be better off by not responding in a negative way. Your life will be happier, and you will feel better about who you are by holding on to what your values and beliefs are and being a good person. And
and I'm trying to figure out, like, what this looks like. Like, how do we put that into practice? And this is kind of silly, but I just keep thinking about Daniel Tiger and the song we sing in our house all the time. If you're feeling mad and you want to roar, take a deep breath and count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh, my kids are probably like, what's she doing in there? But seriously, like, it's giving yourself, because those emotions and those feelings are gonna happen. Like, it's not like if someone does something rude to you, you can't stop yourself from like reacting in a way, you know, emotionally, but take a deep breath, count to 4, and take that time to like think about them as another human.
As a human,
you know.
And even more so, if you do respond negatively, go back and apologize. Like, how much even more profound would that be? Like, if you find yourself that you did respond negatively, own up and go back and say, I'm so sorry that, you know, I'm sorry.
Can I share a story about that? Okay. I was in an airport checking in one time, and actually, it was when I was trying to get home to see my dad because he was super sick, and they'd found a new tumor in his brain, and we just didn't know. Anyway, so I was super emotional, and I had Luna with me, and I snapped so hard at the woman because she wouldn't let me take Luna on the plane, and I was freaking out, and I was like, and then I calmed down, and I went back and I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have snapped at you. And she goes, it's okay. I'm a big fan of your music.
Oh.
You better believe I was so embarrassed. Like, you know, and granted, like, I was in a situation. Does not excuse being rude, though, you know. And also, I was like, I am so glad I had the courage to walk back to that desk and say sorry. Because that takes humility to go back and be like, I'm back and I'm sorry, you know. But anyways, that was a very shame moment for me. I'm like, oh.
I love it, though, because then you saw her as a person. And
it's interesting how much this goes back to treating people like objects versus people. It's like seeing someone for being a human with emotions that has bad days and good days. So let's see, anything else on this? I like that she said, cruelty is cheap, easy, and chicken poop. She said another word, but she said she has that on a sticky note in her house above like her calendar or something, that one of them is, she has it written, worthiness is my birthright. And then below that it says cruelty is cheap, easy, and chicken poop. And it's her reminder that like if someone's being cruel to her, they're taking like, that's cheap.
Easy route.
They're taking the easy route rather than working on themselves. They're attacking me. And so it's just this kind of reminder for her. And I thought that was,
I love that what you just said though. They're taking the easy route because rather than working on themselves, they're fighting against me. Like, I don't know, I love that idea of like, the reason it's cheap and fast is because you're avoiding bettering yourself. Like, avoiding...
when you're angry, it's so uncomfortable to be angry that you want to dispel that emotion immediately. And so to get rid of it yourself, you put it on someone else, you push it, and you deflect it onto them, and so that you can feel better. So it's quite selfish. Instead of sitting with that and allowing it to cause thought processes of, okay, what do I need to do to better? What do I need to do to, like, why am I feeling this way? Like actual self-reflection. You push it on someone else because it's a quick release that such a negative emotion that you don't want anymore.
Yeah. Well, and also usually you know that the way you're acting isn't okay. And so you have to like blame it on someone else and make it seem like it's okay, just almost to prove it to yourself sometime, because it's uncomfortable to know that you have betrayed yourself.
Yeah. Well, even like last night, and so my husband's out of town, I'm at my parents', and have a bajillion kids that are not in their own sleeping environments, and I was lying in my bed, and my little girl last night fell asleep before bedtime, so I said, you need to go to the bathroom. I tried to wake her up, you need to go potty, so before you go to bed, so you don't wet the bed, right? And no, Mom, I'm fine. And so I'm like, okay. So I had her, she lies in my bed. Guess what happens at 2 a.m? She wets the bed. So I, of course, have to get up. I have to strip my sheets. I'm trying to be quiet because I have my baby and my twins in the room, too. And the whole time, I'm so angry at her and just want to, again, lash out and respond. But then I was thinking, but I teach her that we make mistakes. And I teach her that accidents happen. and I teach her, and so it's like I had to like seriously say like mantras in my mind so I wouldn't freak out. So I was so tired and so mad, and it didn't take me. I wasn't angry, and quite frankly, it's like she's like, it's understandably why I can understand why I was angry, but at the same time, are we practicing what we preach? Are we actually showing what we preach?
Yes. And we will talk about that. That's like what chapter 5 is all about. So hopefully we'll get there. No, we'll get there. I also liked a comment that is in the end of this chapter. She says, well, basically, is it okay or important to still care what people think? Because, like, we've talked a lot in here about, like, you should just go for it, and the critic doesn't count, and, the naysayers, like, ignore them. They don't matter. But, like, is it also still important to care what people think?
Yeah, because otherwise you become a harsh stone. I mean, it doesn't define who you are, but if you get to the point where you actually don't care at all about what other people think, then you lose humanity, and they become objects. If you don't care at all.
Well, and I think the question is you should be asking is not, how is this making me look? Like, oh, what do they think about me? But rather, I care about you as a person, and I care about how this will this make you happier? Will this make you better? Am I creating a safe space for you? Like, those questions are the right kind of questions that you should use to evaluate, like, how you care about, or like, what was the question? Like, do you care about what other people think? Like, you care about how it's making them feel. You care about how it's making them
That's what someone says in the comments. They said, you should care about how they feel, not what they think. And that's ODCon123.
See, you said it in, like, a few words, and I was like, blah, 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 and it still didn't come out like that.
You said it great.
And PTA_Sterling8123 said it depends on who that person is. So
that's a good point.
It depends on those close people. It should be more about those people, what they think, not about, all the random
people that are invested.
Yes.
But I think the biggest thing for me is, are you using the fact that I don't care what people think to justify your negative behavior or behavior? That is never going to be okay.
That's never good.
But to totally dismiss the way people think to justify, or to totally dismiss people what they think to justify your negative behavior, not okay. But also to take too much consideration for what people think that aren't necessarily closely connected to can also be very difficult.
Yes, and Alyssa McG64 says, I think in some ways we all care what people think. It's human nature. And I think that's a really good point, that it's like we can all say that, like, you should care how people feel, but not what they think. And I think that's like the goal. Like, that's where we all want to be. But also, she brings up a good point that, like, human nature is to, like, care, and I mean, I even think about it being a musician and an artist. Like, I care what you guys think. Like, my fans, I care a lot. I care when I'm writing an album. You better believe as I release it, I'm terrified and excited, and I hope so badly that you guys like it. I release a music video. I hope that you guys like it. Like, I care a lot, and it's not just because, like, my career's on the line, but it's like, this is something I worked really hard on, and I hope, So I think that it is important that sometimes we do care what people think. It is human nature, but at the same time, it just can't define you. It can't, like, if I release an album that's not good, I'm going to care that maybe nobody liked it. I'll care, but I can't let that make me think I'm a terrible musician. Like, I'm a bad artist. Like, so I think and also going back to what I think Prism Sterlingite said, that it's also depending, like, it makes a difference who it is. Brene Brown says, like, I don't take any stock in what people say if they're not in the arena with me, and if they're not part of my team, and if they're not out there daring greatly, their critic doesn't matter to me. I thought that was cool. Can someone read on page 169 the boldface section?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll read it.
I will. Oh, okay.
Go.
When we stop caring about what people think, we lose our capacity for connection. When we come defined by what people think, we lose our willingness to be vulnerable. If we dismiss all the criticism, we lose out on important feedback. But if we subject ourselves to the hatefulness, our spirits get crushed. It's a tightrope,
Shame resilience is the balance bar, and the safety net below is the 1 or 2 people in our lives who can help us reality check the criticism and cynicism.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a balance.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, it's just a constant like evaluation of like, where am I at? What is my motive? Am I okay if all of this doesn't work? Like, am I putting too much stock? I think the key that I liked the word the most that she said was define you. When we become defined by what people think, we lose willingness to be vulnerable. So like, you know, we can care, but just don't let it define everything. Don't let it be your worth.
In the chapter or the paragraph below, it says worthiness is my birthright.
Mm-hmm.
So that's bold. That's to be so bold underline circle, because you're worthy. That's your birthright. And so
yes,
that, you know, that totally.
Taryn Christensen shared something in the emails really cool. He says who we are is children of God. I wish that I wish that was the recognized culture for everyone. It is the culture of everyone, as we are all children of God, and we ought to treat one another that way. But unfortunately, not everyone recognizes that our identity as children of God matters the most. And, you know, not everybody may believe in God, and everybody may have different beliefs, but I think that, like, the way that Taryn was saying, like, believing that you're a child of God makes you realize that part of being here, part of existing, is having value and being worth it and being enough.
Yeah.
Just as you are. And, you know, and if you don't believe in God, it's also like, there's other ways to find that same value. Like, you are a human, and just being human that's enough.
Yeah.
So, okay, I like that. Thanks, Janny. Okay, so let's see. Is there anything else in this chapter we want to talk about?
One thing on page.
Didn't you talk about that last stretch mark friends?
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk? Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, you talked about that, but just wanted to say that again. And we were talking about how grateful we are for each other as friends, and that we can have one another. Anyway, so I liked how she said that she carries a small sheet of paper in her wallet that has written on it the names of people whose opinions of me matter. I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, I like that too. And we were all saying afterwards, we're like, we're each other's stretch mark friends. She also says the only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool. Because she talks about the need to be like, sometimes we have to be cool. And she's like, the people that you can be uncool with, that is where you can truly, like, I like that she called it, like, the currency. That's where you're true, like, that's people who see your worth, you know.
Yeah, like when we were together, we didn't even get dressed, really.
Well, we
Whoa, sorry, we had our jammies on. That would be a really...
We just hung out naked, yeah, okay.
On one
I'm not rollable. I'm not rollable enough for myself for that.
Yeah. I do like on page 170, she talks about cruelty again, and says, making sure we take responsibility for what we say is one way that we can check our intentions. Dare greatly and put your name on your posted comments online. If you don't feel comfortable owning it, then don't say it. And I think that's just a good reminder for everyone, you know, like, there's some places where you can put things anonymously, but if you can't put your name with it, then you probably shouldn't say it.
Yeah.
And like own what you're gonna put on there, and just be intentional with the things that you say. There's so many trolls out there, which I don't understand, but you know, just make sure you're that's one way you can be cruel, so be careful.
Be careful. Well, also, I loved this, like, she talked about it so briefly, but I want to ask you guys before we move on. I just remembered, if you find yourself in a place of blaming or being critical of others, which I think we've all been there before, you know, whether it's like a chronic thing in your life or whether it was a moment. So what can you do to change if this is a habit? You know, if you realize, if like any of us realize, oh my gosh, I blame a lot. I blame people a lot, or I can be really critical, and it's probably because I'm not feeling good about the way I am. What are ways to help change this?
I mean, it's like we talked about, I think whenever you find yourself blaming or being critical, do a self-reflection. Like identify the thing that you're being critical or blaming, like actually identify what it is, and then say, how is this a part of who I am? Or why do I feel so strongly about this? And oftentimes as you do that, you'll open the doors to a lot of probably painful and hard places to sit and be. It's like interesting because when I first started doing this work, and it is work and I call it work, like when I first started studying this, I've never ever been one to blame God. Like that's never been in my nature, but I was able to identify that I would blame my circumstances or things around me sometimes, and sometimes more than I'd like to admit. And it took effort and energy and mindfulness and practice to identify when I was doing it and then peel back the layers to figure out why. And then as soon as I was able to understand the why I was doing it, then I could learn to control the blame when it would happen. And oftentimes it did go back to fear of disconnection or which is shame. It went back to those shame triggers, and I was able to identify those things. And it was a painful process. I'm not going to lie. Like it wasn't very fun. But as you do it, your connections with other people are strengthened, and your connection with yourself is strengthened, and you just feel better. You know, you become a better person. But yeah.
Sterling Edit says self-reflection is one of the most powerful and effective ways to check in with, to check who we are and what we are saying and what we believe in. It is a way of reflecting on what really matters to us in life. And then PTA Sterlingite said, same, Janny. So they really related to what you said.
Well, and that boy named Kelly said, confess it to yourself and your circle. Like, I think that's a good first step. Like if you're, like you said, Janny, identifying it and trying to figure out like why or whatever, it's like calling it out and verbalizing or writing it down is a good first step for being like, okay, I recognize that I'm doing this. And if you have a group of people that you feel comfortable with, say like, I can tell this is an issue for me and I'm working on it, and I would love your feedback or your help, or if you notice I'm doing it or something like that,
hold me accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a defense mechanism. And so like you said, we've talked about how when you're feeling shame, the best way to dispel it is by reaching out to those that you feel safe with. So one of the things that I would encourage people is to have a list of people that they could reach out to when they're experiencing that. And even like when you feel like you're blaming, that's a defense mechanism. So why am I feeling defensive? Why do I feel this way? Okay, it's because of this. Who can I share that with? Like, and everybody has different people that they can share different shame triggers with. Like you might be able to share it with your mom, certain shame triggers, but you know that you can't share this with it, or it opens the can of worms. Like we all have different people that you can talk to different things about. Know who those people are and actually write them down. Be very aware of them. So when you're in that moment of feeling where you need someone to be a witness to your struggle in that moment, you have a go-to already. So it's like a quick thing, then you can resolve it. And then you'll find it gets easier and quicker and faster, and you become better at it. And it doesn't take as much time, because at first it really sucks.
Yeah, and that's another thing, and when we give challenges, you don't have to do all of them, but I think it's kind of fun. It gives us something to like next week ask about. And so maybe this week, think about what are some of those things for you? Like what are things that, search for maybe ways that you are like noticing triggers. Like someone said, wait, what did they say? Where did it go? I need that for talking bad about myself, said Prism Sterlingite. So like letting your friends know, hey, if you notice me talking bad about myself, call me out. Don't let me get away with that, and accountability partners are pretty amazing. So that could be another challenge that we give, along with the other challenge of, how did we word the other challenge of giving people grace?
Grace, yes.
Daniel Tiger.
Before we go on, I want to take a moment to call out some subscribers and people that are joining us. So thank you.
Ooh, Janny, read that Your Ordinary Man.
May I ask if Janny does studies? Janny is, I don't know. She is so knowledgeable information and well spoken when it comes to these topics. She helps a lot. Oh, that's big time.
Amen. Now you all know why we love her. So just kidding. We love you regardless.
We love you for so many reasons, but
yes, that's one.
That is one.
I worked in the nonprofit space, but this topic is specifically important to me because I would say it probably changed my life. So I would just say I'm just a self-learner of this stuff, but I've worked in the nonprofit world with people that have experienced severe trauma.
Yes.
That's what I've done.
Okay, so here we go. Oh, wow. Okay, we got a lot. So, 2 hours ago, OZARC1 cheered 100 bits. Thank you so much. The Only Captain Music cheered 100 bits. Thank you. Alyssa MG64 subscribed. Thank you for subscribing. Point no Nikolai Evich Rasputin cheered 100 bits. Thank you. Raven5366 cheered 100 bits. Wow, Luna just did a big jump onto the bed. You go, girl.
I'm glad it was a jump.
Yeah, she made it. Oh, jump. Actually, never mind. I'm not going to tell that story.
Yeah.
Malaki Fletcher subscribed for 6 months. Thank you so much at tier 2. You rock, girl. Or guy. I don't know. You could.
Nana's Nonsense is just gave a lot of tier 1 subs. I don't know what that means, but that seems nice.
That's great. Thank you, Nana's Nonsense. We've seen your name a lot in comments, and thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all those subs, Nana's Nonsense. Also, just reiterating to everyone that's here and anyone that might have recently joined, this is our book club. Daring Greatly is what we're reading. Also, anyone that subscribes or gives biddies or anything like that, you get to, all of your donations are going towards the Upside Fund, which is a charity fund that helps people going through mostly medical struggles, paying bills and that kind of stuff. And it's something that I've been doing for years, and it's really cool that fans have been also now helping me with this project by subscribing.
Awesome.
Also, you get to be a part of the subs only Discord if you subscribe, and you also get these cute little emojis that everybody's using in the chat. So you get all of that by subscribing, and I go.
It's like a badge of honor.
Absolutely. Also, I go in the chat on the subs only Ask Lindsey, and I go multiple times a week and answer all the questions. So. Fun. Okay, let's keep going. Bianca cheered 100 biddies. Thank you so much. Warbear93 cheered 100 biddies. Nana's Nonsense cheered 300 biddies. There's Nana again. Thank you so much.
Nana.
Lindsay, someone said we should, Prism Sterling said we should do a separate charity stream just for the Upside Fund. That'd be a fundraiser event.
That would be fun.
Jenny's like, I'm all over that.
Jenny's done a fun. Yeah, Jenny was on one of my fundraiser streams like years ago.
Oh yeah.
For
your birthday.
Yeah, it was my birthday stream. That was fun. Yes, we should do it again. Actually, okay, I don't know if this is pathetic or not, but so if we go out on tour this year, it's going to be really hard to fund it because for so many reasons, COVID's changed everything. I think we'll only be able to play for like a third of a crowd, and I don't know how you fund a tour when you can only play for like a third of, and also we'll have to skip cities. It's just going to be, and we like need new costumes and all that because the costumes from our last tour were like falling apart. And so me and Lindsay Fishman are like, maybe we should do a stream to earn money for new costumes. So just throwing that out there. We might do that.
Happen.
It may happen. And then you can donate those costumes back.
Yes.
And people can win them.
Yes.
After you have sweated them.
So
they'll be more valuable.
Yes, after it has my DNA. But I was thinking, actually, if I did do something like that, that I could auction off some of my old costumes that are still freaking cool and clean.
Let's do it. That would be awesome.
But anyways, we should also do one for the Upside Fund because that was a great idea.
Ooh, someone says have the fans make costumes. Where's that Allie girl?
Yes, Allie.
I don't think that was her that wrote that.
Actually,
Silver Wolf. Oh, Silver Wolf. Hello
Silver
again.
Wolf is back. Okay, the Only Captain Mirica cheered 100 biddies. The Only Captain Mirica cheered 300 biddies. Jaguar cheered, Jaguar 55 cheered Whoa! Oh, this was the one I called out earlier. 11,500 biddies. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh! What?
Boy named Kelly subscribed for 6 months. Yes, at tier 1. Thank you. PTA Sterling I gave out 5 tier 1 community sub gifts. Thank you so much, PTA Sterling I. Sad Artemis cheered 100 biddies. WC Photo Me subscribed for 1 month. Thank you so much.
Lindsay, someone said you should do a contest for the fans to design a costume for you.
That is a great idea. And you know what? My mom will love that because she suggested that to me earlier. And I was like, maybe. I was like, I don't know if anyone would want to do that. And I'll have to tell her. You were right, Mom. Mom is always right. Yeah, she has always got her finger on that pulse. Cy Strikeling subscribed with Prime. Thank you, Cy Strikeling. Naomi Tall cheered 100 biddies. Nana's Nonsense gave out 5 community subs. Thank you, Nana. I love that name, Nana's Nonsense. USAF Bioman gave out 5 subs. Thank you. JD Moore 82 subscribed with Prime. Don't worry, guys, we're almost there. Jaguar 55 cheered 1,500 biddies again.
Wow.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Jaguar 55. PTA Sterling I cheered 300 biddies. Thank you. Nana's Nonsense gave out 10 tier 1 subs. You're the best. Javier Kogu cheered 150 biddies. USAF Bioman gifted a sub, and Spa Spiffy Guy subscribed with Prime.
Way to go, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. You guys are the freaking best. Love you.
Prism Sterling said that you should make enamel pins of the emojis on here. They'd be so cute and could help raise money for costumes for the Upside Fund.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a super fun idea.
So many good ideas from these.
I know. Keep them coming. I love collectible pens. That's fun.
I want to know Nana's Nonsense that's been donating all this. If you're a Nana, like a grandma, or did your grandma say that you're her nonsense?
Or do you just really like bananas?
Oh, bananas. I didn't even think about that.
It's getting super deep.
Nana's Nonsense, because bananas are crazy.
Because
That is cooking with Nana when I hear that. That little boy that like grabs food. But...
Oh, that's hilarious. Have you guys seen that video?
I don't think so.
Oh, no? Okay, afterwards you guys gotta watch.
Okay. By the way, everybody say in the comments where you're watching from. Like what country or, state. Because I just saw Mexico pop up. Hello from Mexico. I hope to be back soon.
Grandma!
I love that we've got grandma in here.
Utah, Virginia, South
Carolina,
Pennsylvania,
West Virginia, Uruguay, Wisconsin.
Boy named Kelly, yeah, you're
Lehigh,
right,
Utah,
Quebec.
Wow, is it
Ukraine?
It's really late.
What time is it in
Yeah, Quebec and Ukraine and Finland
Virginia,
and Italy, Australia.
France,
it's late.
Germany.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd be like,
what time is it in
Just
Europe? Like, I mean, I know that's a wide spectrum of times, but like, I don't know, in France, what time is it?
Guadalajara.
In Russia,
are you guys
what
just
time
writing
is
down
it?
random places?
They're trying to make us feel cool. They're like,
Yeah.
I start typing. Those are all me, guys.
Yep.
Guadalajara, El Paso, Texas, Apache Junction, Arizona.
9:40 in Quebec. Mars. Okay, now you're lying. That one I know isn't true.
Caitlin, it might be. Have you seen The Martian? It's a great movie.
Nana said she worked down the street from your high school, Lindsay.
Oh, really?
Scotland,
We were neighbors.
2:42 a.m.
Cute. I love her.
5 a.m. in Russia. Wow.
Man, that's early. I hope you're working out or doing something.
You would say that, Janny.
Working out.
Like, that didn't cross my mind. I'm like, I hope you're still in bed in your PJs listening. And Janny's like,
cute.
yeah, if you're not working out, and if you're in your pajamas, silver,
how dare you?
Silver 995, that's fine. That's what I would be doing.
That's why I
get up early.
Janny, I'm surprised you're not doing squats right now, Janny.
Oh, get real.
As we talk,
get real.
Whenever we talk on Marco Polo, she's running.
Oh my gosh. Someone says, I'm over the moon listening to you, ladies.
Okay,
I guess I'll forgive you for that. Being at the moon.
Working out at 5 a.m.? No thanks, LOL. I'm with you.
4:42 in Ukraine.
4:42, dang.
4:42 a.m.
Oh my, heaven bless.
Nick.
Heaven bless. Come back to Mexico. I will come back as soon as I can. Yeah, I have lots of places I can't wait to go back to.
Where are you touring? I saw you post. I didn't even see everything.
By the way, since we have someone in here from Russia and I saw someone from Australia, I just announced like 2 days ago that where our tour got announced for 2022 in not Germany, Russia and Australia. So it felt
in
so
2022. Oh, that's next year. I think that's 2 years away, but we're in 2021.
Yeah, isn't that weird? It feels almost like last year didn't happen, but it did.
That's exciting.
I know. It just was so exciting to announce. Like, I haven't announced a new tour, new tour dates, and like, especially in another country. Like, we are still hoping that the U.S. tour happens. I have hopes that I think it will, so fingers crossed on that. But it was so exciting to announce, like, we can start to share new dates. We can start to
Yay.
And by the way, I just got my second vaccine yesterday, or 2 days ago.
How are you feeling?
Okay, I was super sick I take that back. I wasn't super sick.
Tired?
I was
Really
weird.
tired?
I was like nauseous, but I didn't throw up. I was just really hazy and like headache, body aches. But then today I was fine. So
I got my first vaccine yesterday, and my arm is like
so sore.
Me too. I got mine 2 days ago, and my arm is sore.
Guys,
my arm is sore.
I don't know when I can even get mine.
Jenny, get one while you're there in Utah.
Yes.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, but don't you have to be in Utah to get your second one?
You just have to take your card to. Well, I think if you have one
know.
of the shots, you should ask them because
I heard each state has their own individual database.
Yeah.
So I'd have to stay here. So how far apart between the first and the second?
It depends.
2 weeks.
Yeah, which one? I think Pfizer is 2 weeks and Moderna is 3 to 4.
Dang it. I know, I should have, because I don't know what the rules are in California, but I know they're behind. Linz, you got, man, I should have just hopped on your train. I should have just came to your house and got shot up while you were there.
Maybe
They didn't come to my house, Jenny.
Oh, that was right. You were getting a COVID test.
I was getting a test. No, I had to wait in a long line just like everybody else, Jenny. I didn't
you did it.
Yes,
Not
I
with that hair.
Oh my God.
They're like, get her out of here, get her out. Actually, I almost got turned away for some reason. Like, I was like, I signed up for it because, you know, when they have extra ones, and for some reason, like, they're like, we don't see you on the list. I'm like, okay, I signed up, and don't you have extra shots that you need to give away? And they were like, yeah, you're right.
Honestly, though, with how many times you have to get in your industry to get COVID tested, because my brother works in the same industry, every time he goes on set, he has to get a COVID test. Like, it's a nightmare.
I'm so relieved to, like, finally,
Yeah.
I'm
Will
like,
they still make you get tested?
Probably. I think so, actually, now that I think about it, because you still have a chance of getting it. You know, it's just a way lower chance. So you probably will still have to get tested. But it just is also peace of mind. I swear, every time, I've gotten so many COVID tests and so many things shoved up my nose, but I'm always so nervous every time because I'm like, this is going to be the time that they tell me I've got COVID. And so, you know, I'm always afraid I'm going to have to cancel a big shoot. Or before we shot the Christmas show, my dancers and I and my whole crew got tested. And I was like, please tell me that nobody has it. Like, because if one of my dancers got it, what do I do? Like, so it was so scary. So it'll be just nice.
Whitney would show up and would help you out.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Whit.
You said she would step in for you. Hi, I'm Lindsay's backup.
All three of us could be your backup.
If you saw it.
Jenny actually is a dancer.
Oh, I haven't danced in years, but I do want to stay. I do want to start again.
Oh my gosh, you should. You were a beautiful dancer. Remember my application to get into the film program? You danced in my video.
Yeah, I remember that.
You were like my muse.
You're like ballerina.
Yeah, I had to make a video to apply for the film program when I was at BYU, and I was like, I needed someone to act in it and be a dancer, and Jenny was my person.
Yay! Oh man,
so then I did a backflip.
Sorry.
a different story, but it was, oh, so good. So good. Okay, so let's, wow. Okay, well, we only have, of course, now we only have a few minutes to talk about the chapter we were actually supposed to talk about, but I loved everything we talked about before, so, let's see.
It's only a couple pages
It's only
long.
a couple pages, so this could be a short discussion. So this chapter is all about minding the gap. So what is she referring to when she talks about minding the gap?
I love this chapter.
Oh.
London Underground.
I loved it.
What?
Do you want me to tell you what I thought about that part?
Yes.
Minding the gap. So, at first it was kind of hard to comprehend. Did any of you feel that way until we got to the examples?
Yeah. I was kind of like, what is she talking about?
Yeah, I did too. I was a little confused until I got to the examples, and then it kind of clicked. So we all have what we call aspirational values, which are like the things that we really want to have and like strive for. And then you have what's called practice values, which is where you are today and like what you're doing. And so I think the whole point of the reason why we're here is to bridge the gap between those two places, right? Between the aspiration values and the practice values. But the problem with so many people and different cultures is that gap is so wide that they'll preach these practice values or these aspirational values, but they practice these practice values. And it causes confusion and it forces people to disengage. So, for example, a mother who teaches their child that sobriety is super important and or smoking is really bad, but yet they talk a ton about how awesome it was as a young adult to get drunk at parties and that was the life and how fun that was. It creates a big gap between the aspirational values and the practice values, and it feels like almost a manipulation, and so the child might disengage and think, whatever, Mom, you say this, but you're showing this. And so when we have that large gap, it creates this, it feels like a manipulation, and it causes disengagement. So
I like how you keep saying disengage. Is that sign language for disengagement?
I don't know. It just feels right.
It is now.
It just feels right.
Get up.
It's like you have a superpower.
That helps me understand it a lot more.
But I also think too, like there's nothing. The thing that struck me the most in this chapter is that it is okay to have aspirational values that we're striving to get to. So that, like
perfect.
Yeah, we're not perfect, and that's where that, in my mind, that gap. I looked at that as a place to hold grace. That we have to have grace for ourselves and for others as we strive to decrease that gap to become the best version of ourselves.
Yes.
I think that's so important because I think it's easy to, you don't want to get to a place where you're like, oh, I'm not trying to become a better person. But in this particular chapter, I think what she's talking about is when people have such totally far apart aspirational values and she brings up politics, they'll be preaching this but practicing this, and it causes people to disengage from it, and it feels horrible. And or in companies where they preach innovation and creativity, but yet you get shamed and shunned if you try to bring it, if you do that, that creates a gap in their value system, and it creates again, and it creates this feeling of disengagement and change. And so she's referring to it more like that. But like I said, I looked at it as a personal thing, trying to decrease the gap.
Yeah, well, I felt like this was a really good description of hypocrisy. It's what this chapter was. It took a while to get there, and giving us all these examples. And I was like, oh, this is just the best description of hypocrisy I've heard. And and it also shows why it hurts so much, that it doesn't just be you're preaching one thing and doing another. It's oh, this literally causes me to not want to trust anymore. It makes me literally pull back from,
You feel manipulated, literally.
Yeah. And I like that it's called mind the gap, not avoid the gap. Like you said, it's not well, you can't have, aspirational goals that don't reflect where you're at, because then it's not a goal. So it's not avoid having a gap. It's mind the gap. Make sure it's a gap that when you are, she used the example of mind the gap comes from the London subway system. And when you're getting onto the train, there's a voice that says, please mind the gap as you get onto the train, because they don't want anyone to get their foot stuck in that little gap that's between the subway cart and the, the rail, the cement. The platform, thank you. So, it's like we have to make sure that whatever gap we're trying to mind is small enough that we can step over it. Like, we can't expect to jump. And I liked that, I like this quote that was on the very first page. Let's see, it's page 172. At the very bottom, it says, "We don't have to be perfect, just engaged and committed to aligning values with actions." And I think that's the best way to put it. It's not do your actions match everything you believe in right now, but like, do your values align with, your actions? Like, are you working towards that? And I remember when I was like a teenager, one of my young women leaders from church, she always talked about that it's so much more important, like, in you're striving for greatness, it's much more important to think about what direction you're facing rather than focusing on where you're at. Are you facing towards your goal? Are you moving towards it? Are you working towards something, rather than are you, because you could be really close to your goal but facing the other direction and you're going to slip back. It's much more important where your focus is and where your intentions are than actually where you're at, if that makes sense.
It's okay to, or important, I think, especially like when teaching our children or working with other people, to say like, I have this gap or whatever, and say that I've made a mistake, and it's okay. Like, I'm still learning, and acknowledging those moments where you're like, this is my goal and I'm not quite there, but I'm trying and I'm going to do better, and apologizing for when you don't get there, and just take time to point out, like, that we make mistakes and that's okay. And that can also create a dialogue that minds the gap. Helps.
And it's so beautiful too, because then you can teach your kids that it's okay. Like, you create for others that it's okay. Like, you're safe to make a mistake with me. I'm not gonna disconnect from you because of that. Like, you give them that, again, the safe place. Like I always say, you're providing a safe place for room and growth and development.
Well, and I love
like the biggest things when I was a health teacher. Like, imagine being a health teacher when that's really hard for you. To like, everyone always just thinks of like being healthy, exercising, and eating well. There's so much more to it, but it was still really hard for me because I struggle with those things. So like, every day I would open up to my students and say, I struggle with this. This is really hard for me. Like, we all make mistakes. And that helps me to connect with them the most, was not, oh, I'm this fit, perfect health teacher. That we didn't connect at all if I would have been like that. But, sharing with them like how I struggle with these things is what helps me to relate to them. So I kind of related to my teaching a lot with this and being a mom with this stuff.
Like, and I just again love that it says it's not about being perfect, it's about continuing to be committed to aligning your values with your actions. It's about like, I'm going to keep trying. And I love the story she shared about the mom, like, it was a hypothetical situation, but like a mom that realized she didn't pay for some of her groceries because she got out to the car and somewhere at the bottom, and she said that if this mom has taught to her kids that honesty and integrity is important, but then her kids watch her take groceries that she knows she didn't pay for and being like, well, that was their mistake, and she even said if she doesn't turn around and take the groceries back right then, but maybe later she decides that, I should have done that. I should have gone back and paid for those. Telling her kids, like, you know what, mommy didn't like the way that felt. So like, I realized that I should pay for those groceries and I made a mistake and I'm going to make it right. That can even be a more powerful tool. I thought that was a really cool example. I liked what Taryn Christensen also wrote in. He said, and because I thought it was a very relatable feeling, says, I often feel that there is a large gap between my aspirational values and my practice values. I'm really trying to make them the same, but the world brings me down a lot. I feel insignificant to the world, so sometimes I try to be like the world, but that always makes me feel and fall short of my aspirational values of doing what God wants me to do and being who he wants me to be. Brene asks, are we walking our talk? I really try to do that, but in quiet moments I have struggled. But he just basically says that same exact thing that we're talking about, but Brene Brown says it's not about being perfect. But I think that so many of us can relate to that feeling of like, you know, sometimes when you do feel down or discouraged about your goals, you kind of turn to this direction, and then that makes you feel bad about, you know, but just being kind to yourself and giving grace. Anyways, I thought that was really nice.
I love it too. Like, again, back to kind of our challenge for next week. I know we've talked about this. Like, if you ever want to be of influence to somebody and you compare it to like light, and you take a spotlight and shine it in their eyes, and you're so blaring with your idea and your thought of this is what you should be doing, like, the first thing they're gonna do is turn away because it's so harsh. But if you're a light that is even toned, and that practices what they preach, and are kind and are forgiving and show love, people are going to be more inclined to be influenced by who you are, you know. So that minding that gap for yourself is allowing for people to mind it for themselves, but it's also influencing people to get closer to their aspirational values. You work together instead of that harsh truth that can sometimes feel so painful.
Absolutely. Well, I love everything we talked about today. I was like, there's no way we're going to go 2 hours today, but sure enough, we wouldn't stop talking. Lindsey shared too many stories.
Never.
But ladies, always thank you for coming and sharing your time with us. Thank your husbands for me for letting me borrow you and your children. And thanks all the fans for coming in. Yeah, don't forget the challenges. Chapter? Yes, chapter 6 for next week. And then also don't forget the challenges that were to give grace to other people. You know, just try this week to, and then also notice some of your triggers. What are some of the things that that trigger you? And try to be held accountable. Like, try to talk to a friend and hold yourself accountable for some of those things. All right, those are our challenges.
So somebody asked, just because they were curious and I didn't know what to say, but after this book is over, do you have plans?
I would love to keep continuing. I was actually offline going to ask my girls if they want, if their husbands, well, not your husbands, but if you guys had time and want to. Anyways, but we'll talk about that us. Because I would love to keep this going, and so we can figure out. Also, I'd love to see, like, maybe if you guys have suggestions of books that, you know, as fans you would like us to read, and but it would be fun to. Oh, someone says, what's the email again? It's sterlingsbookclub@gmail.com. So yeah, if you guys have comments or you want to share stories, you can email the book club at Sterling. There we go. Lancey Fish just posted it. sterlingsbookclub@gmail.com. And like, I love hearing your stories and what the chapter meant to you or what the book club has helped you with. So yeah.
Yay.
Awesome. Well, thanks. I'll probably stay online just a little bit longer and chat about some, I don't know, music stuff. And but I'll be talking to you ladies on Marco Polo.
Yep. Good night, everyone.
Have fun, Whitney and Janny. I'm so jealous you're together. What do you
I know, we didn't even point that out, did we?
Oh, yeah. We talked about it before we went live, and then we forgot. And then we didn't actually go live, and we talked about some other things.
We thought we were live.
Yeah, FYI, we really did think we were talking to, several hundred people. Okay, so...
okay, bye.
Yeah, do you guys have any fun plans tonight?
Us?
Yeah.
I just have to ship stuff.
I don't know, I have stuff for all of you, and I'm about to give her hers because I have meant to give it to everyone, so she gets this stuff.
Oh, MG! I'm so excited.
No, but I gotta send you guys yours still.
Well, I hope you guys have a fun night tonight. Go get, go to Bombay House. I love Bombay.
Oh my gosh.
Where's Bombay? Isn't that in Provo?
There's one in Provo. There's one in South Jordan.
Oh, West Jordan.
Oh, or West Jordan? Yeah. It's Indian food. It is the best Indian food I've ever had.
It's the same in Provo, right? Because that's like the only, that place is good.
Oh, so good. Their chicken tikka masala. Mwah.
Oh my god. That's like Indian, Italian?
It was an Italian.
I love a tikka masala.
I love tikka masala. Yeah, that's not.
Gosh.
See you guys later. Somebody just said, you're still online. Yeah, we know.
We know. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
All right. Well, I'm big now. I'm a big girl. But yeah, just wanted to hang out with you guys a little bit longer since, you know, we're all here. But thank you for being here. I love doing this book club. It's a really cool way to just connect with you guys. And it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I just never quite knew where to do it. So thanks for being a part of my new thing. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, I feel like, you know, let's spill some beans right now. Or as Boy Named Kelly said, spill some tea. Can we suggest fiction books? Yeah, I mean, you guys can suggest any books you want. I would say send it to the email or do it on the book club Discord. Yeah, on Discord there's a book club section, and so I'd say that's a good place, or the emails to send book suggestions. So play us a song. Oh, I am not warmed up right now. Actually, tomorrow, look at my Instagram. I think I'm gonna do a live stream practicing one again, so I think that would be fun, and I think I'll do that. Oh my gosh, sorry. Tomorrow or Saturday, so just stay tuned on my Instagram and you'll see that on my story within the next hour or two. I'll post when I'm gonna do it. But anyways, any questions? The hair. Oh yeah, this is from, so I don't know if you guys saw, I released a music video yesterday. It's a cover of a medley of the League of Legends, a bunch of their theme songs, and I got to dress up as some of their champions, one of which was, this was Kaiza. I did the hair, I actually styled this wig myself. But yeah, so this was for the music video. I did her character from one of her KDA music videos. And anyways, I hope you guys liked. Yes, Luna made it into the bed okay. I hope you guys liked that League of Legends video. I was really proud of that medley because I love making medleys when you take, because there was 5 songs in it, and they like overlapped each other, and I get really excited, like my nerdy musician side comes out when I'm trying to figure out how to make 2 melodies intertwine. And so there's a lot of moments in that song where there's 2 melodies playing at the same time, and at the end it's going back and forth between like 4 melodies, like sometimes 3 are stacked, sometimes 2 are stacked, and then it switches to these 2, and it's cool because it sounds like one seamless thing, but it's like 5 or 4 songs at the end. It's just like whoa 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 whoa, and I don't know, I get really excited about that. Oh, it's someone's birthday. Allie Wee, happy birthday. Oh, thank you. Someone's saying it's so good. Adaptia Christars. This is so good. Thank you. Oh, someone said, Odicon123 says, yeah, I noticed that, and that was so awesome. Glad you noticed, because I was like, I wonder if anyone will notice how all these songs overlap. Or if that'll just be a me thing. Oh! The costumes for the violins were so creative. You know, this isn't the first time I've made costumes for my violins. I did that when I made the Prism music video years ago. I had, you know, Prism, the whole concept of it was I was actually trying to look, you know, and do a music video like a K-pop girl group. But it was called the Violinsies, and each girl had a different personality and different hairstyle, and they all spelled their name in a different way to spell Lindsay, which was kind of, I thought that was super clever. But I didn't have 5 violins that I could just like match to their hair, because each girl had a very specific aesthetic. And so what I did for that video, for Prism, also for this most recent music video, I went to Michael's and I just got a bunch of paper and tape and just like made these little outfits that I could quickly tape on the violin. And it was fun for this music video because one of them I got to make the violin look like a little weapon that Akali uses. So I don't know, it's a lot of fun, and it's just funny because I showed Lindsay Fishman. I was like, does this look really dumb, or do you think it might look okay? Because in person it didn't, I don't know, it looked like paper, but when we put it on in front of the, like in the lasers and everything and the dark lighting, or like surprisingly it doesn't look bad. So it's always kind of funny. Let's see. He says, yeah, but this time she used lasers. I did. Okay. How's my night going? My night's lovely because I'm spending it with you guys. I like how the song developed. Thank you. I like songs to be a journey. You know, I like to take you through different emotions and different, like, you know, like I liked that sometimes it was really soft and sweet, and then other times it's, Tape can fix everything, including issues of needing to style violins. Yes, you're ordinary man, you are exactly right. Let's see. Oh, Floydian214 says they've subscribed for 5 months. Thank you for subscribing. Okay. How's the singing practice going? Oh dear. I am so sorry. Drang433, I have not been doing my singing practice. Kit was teaching me for a while. Kit, my keyboard player. And then there's just so much to do in life. I did start to practice producing more. That's cool. And honestly, I think doing TikTok takes quite a bit of time to try to come up with a concept every day. Like, record, I don't know. So, I don't know how much longer, but I mean, I'm going to keep doing TikTok, but I'm like, I don't think I can do one every day on top of everything else I do. Cause like, you know, for the past few days, by the way, I'm almost done with the comic book. The comic book, goes along with my Artemis album. It's the story of the album, and issue 4, I know I keep saying that it's almost done, but, we're doing like a cleaning rewrite just to make sure that it all makes sense, it all sounds good, and we've just been putting a lot of like attention to detail in it. I want to make sure. Also, it's a very complicated story. Once you get to like issue 4 and 5, it gets, you know, the way that it all intersects is pretty complicated. So I just want to make sure I don't make any mistakes. I want it to be good, but yeah, we're really close to being done with it. I've been working on that. So yeah, TikTok is definitely not my thing. I don't mind watching it, but I'm not into posting at all. Yeah, I wasn't until recently, because at the top of the year I just didn't have much going on, and I was trying to like stay sane. So I started doing more on TikTok. The comic book is like the book, and the movie is the album. Thank you, Mary. It's been fun to do all the music videos that bring the comic book to life. So I think I have one more music video that I want to make that's going to be in the Artemis world, the comic book. But I'm also going to start working on some new music videos that will be kind of some of the first of this album that won't be taking place in the Artemis world, because like almost all the other ones have been in that world somehow. So that would be fun. I'm excited. What are you releasing? Oh, when are you releasing a song produced by you? Oh, I don't know. I'm not that great yet. I'm still a baby producer, so. Oh, Prism Sterlingite says Masquerade. I hope so. I really want to do a music video to Masquerade. I really wanted. I hope to do one to a couple more songs on the album. When all the issues of the comic book will be out, or when. Will there be a bundle of all of them? Because shipping to Europe is quite expensive, so buying a bundle would be the best. Thank you for that suggestion. I'm sure that we'll have some sort, I mean, especially if shipping, I don't know if we'll be able to have a bundle. We might. You know, we might be able to put them all together, because that would be really cool. But even if they aren't all together, you could just buy them all at once, and there will be one shipping fee for all of them. Also, as soon as we're done with all the issues, we're going to start putting them into comic book stores, which will be fun. Did you April Fools anyone today? No, I did not. I kind of forgot that it was April Fools. Believe it. New sheet music. Probably not for a while. Probably not until I write new music. Are you going solo to EU or with Kaisa? So I think you're talking about the Russia tour. I don't think Kaisa's gonna come on the US tour still if we do it, but I don't think she'll be coming to the Europe tour, because that's so far in advance, and that wasn't, definitely that wasn't talked about in the past. So I don't know if that will happen. I think it'll just be us. Comic book into a film. I hope I get to make it into a film someday, or a show, or a series. So, boy named Kelly says, gosh, your job requires so many logistics. Yes, it does. I wear a lot of hats and a lot of wigs. Yeah, I really do. It's kind of fun. It's also a challenge to try to do so many different things, from like writing music to directing music videos, to designing costumes, to planning tours, to getting, to being a violinist and good at that, and to doing a book club, to all the production of stuff. Anyways, it's a lot. I enjoy it all, but anyways, it's fun. Yes, someone's Prism Sterling is asking about the makeup palette. I have been working on a makeup palette. It just keeps getting delayed. That's another thing I've been working on. So I'm not even going to give an ETA yet on that because, it's just been, sometimes things are just complicated and you're like, why? But anyways, I can't even figure out why it's taking so long, but it is. So, but I hope it comes out soon because I love the concept of the makeup palette. It's all about being intentional. But anyways, I'm starting to write music again. That's exciting. I haven't written music since I wrote the Artemis album. Personally, I like to take a break after because when you write an album, it's months and months and months of writing music every day and trying to find the right songs and trying to find your voice and perfecting your song and then changing it, and then so it's just so much work of writing. And so I like to usually take a long break after I've written an album, and I wait till I'm ready to write again. I wait till I have something to say. And so I feel like finally my burnout from Artemis has died down, and I was like, oh, I'm ready to write. So for the last 2 weeks, I've started to take on a few writing sessions. I haven't written anything I love yet. It always takes a while to find my sound again, especially because I don't know what I want this sound to be. I don't have a concept. I have a couple ideas, but right now it's basically, I like to describe it as throwing paint at the wall and just seeing what sticks, or being blindfolded and throwing a dart at a dartboard, and then you're like, is that good? Did I make it? Nope. Okay, throw it again. Because it is just a lot of trial and error to create a sound and to create a style. And I think I want this next project, whatever it is, to be very different from my last ones. I feel like they all had their own sound and feel to each of my albums, but yet they were all very much in the same world. And so I'm like, I'd really like this one to sound very different, just be something super something new. So I don't know. Do I have a production teacher? No, I just am kind of teaching myself. I had one lesson with a guy, and I just didn't find it super helpful. So I was like, I feel like I'll learn more just by roaming around this thing by myself. I also have a couple great producers that have been very kind, and I can call them if I have questions. Mako is one of those people. If I'm really struggling, and I can call and ask him for advice, or I have a couple guys that have just been really great and very open to helping me and teaching me when I have questions. Juilliard? Me? No. All right. Well, what's your favorite kind of pizza? That's a great question, Jaguar55, because Lindsay Fishman and I were talking literally right before the stream started about how we were craving pizza. So honestly, my favorite kind of pizza is a really good... What?
I want pizza.
Should we order a pizza? I'm really tempted to do it. I think my favorite pizza actually is I love margarita pizza, and I love cheese pizza. New York style pizza all the way. There is a dang it, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a specific pizza place that I love in New York City that has a vodka sauce pizza. And no, it's not vodka, it's just a pink sauce pizza basically, but it is so good. Oh, pineapple pizza. We got some pineapple pizza fans I see in the comments. Yeah, I'm curious. Let's see in the comments. Does pineapple go with pizza? Yes or no? I am going to go out on a limb and say yes. Oh, I see. No. Yes. No. Yes, it does. Yes. Heck yes. Yes. No. Yes. No. Oh my gosh, this is funny. I feel like there are definitely... Wait, actually, the yeses are coming in. Yes. Pineapple totes goes on pizza. Yours? No. Yes. Yes to pineapple. Yes, yes. Okay, so the yeses were just hesitant to come out of their shell, but I feel like it was equaled out. Anyways. Alright, this wig is starting to give me a headache. So, I think that means I'm done. Anyways, again, we're reading chapter 6 this week. So join us next week, same time, same place, Twitch, 5 o'clock book club. Also, stay tuned. Check out my Instagram tonight or tomorrow. I'll be letting you know when I'm going to stream again. I might do a practicing stream on Friday or Saturday. So tomorrow or the next day. So yeah, just hang tight. And you can, if you want to come, you can. I'd love it. And hope you guys have a lovely evening. Sending you love.